need to hide your body. You don't need to hide your body.
This activity is really useful whether you're introducing something that feels like a small change in your relationship, such as a new sex toy or wanting to try a new position, or if there's something bigger that you have in mind, such as introducing an aspect of kink, or maybe a third party into a monogamous relationship. That being said, what is big and small for you is relative. So maybe if you've never used sex toys before, using one will be big for you. For a couple that's already has some form of ethical non-monogamy going, maybe having a new partner or trying swinging, maybe not in the times of COVID, but having a slight shift in that dynamic may be big or may not be. So this is appropriate activity regardless of the size, because it's about taking time to ask yourself two really important things before you talk to your partner, because the benefits that these questions will bring to that conversation are huge, and you'll see why in a minute. Right, question number 1. Why do I want this thing that I want? Super simple question, but worth spending, I would say, at least 5 minutes really reflecting on the answer. So ask yourself, and you'll get one answer, and then sit with it. Maybe for the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, maybe you'll get your notepad or journal out and write it down. I'd really encourage you to at least take notes on why you want this thing you want. So if you want to introduce a new position, is it because you want some sexual variety? Or is it that you want your genitals to connect in a different way to get different sensations? If you're looking at something bigger, is it because you want to try something you've seen on TV that looks exciting? Or do you feel things are stale between you and you want something that's new? Or is it that you had something in a previous relationship that you now feel you want to introduce to this relationship? There's no right or wrong here. It's just taking the time to really listen to why you want the thing you want and write down as much detail as you can. The second question is, how do you want to feel? So for example, if we use the example of using a new sexual position, maybe you want to be on top of your partner, which is something you don't often do. And maybe you want to do this for the physical sensation. Maybe you want to do it because you want to try the feeling of being on top, because it feels dominant, because it feels controlling, because you want to see the way your body moves when you're on top. Maybe because you want to have a new perspective on your partner and look down. Again, there's a million different answers, and no one answer is more valid than the other. It can be an emotional reason. It can be a psychological. It can be physical. Most of us don't spend that long thinking about the why. And so this is an opportunity to just spend a few minutes reflecting. Why do you want to do it, and how do you want to feel? If you don't know me, I'm Tiger Rose. I run Intimata. I'm an intimacy coach and trainee sex therapist. I work with sexual and gender minorities, so people who are LGBTQAI+, kinky and poly people. I am passionate about offering simple and practical solutions to the emotional and psychological problems and challenges that my unique and wonderful clients have. Reason number 1, you may have found that what you thought you wanted isn't what you wanted. So you might have seen something in a film, in porn, and when you come to think about it in more detail, maybe that's not the thing you want. Maybe there's a feeling that you want, which you got from the second question, and you realize that might be answered with a different activity. So the first reason for doing this is really to clarify whether what you think you want is what you want, or maybe you've refined or clarified what that is. Which leads to number 2, you now have specific details to take to your partner. And this is really, really important, because when you're suggesting something new, some people may be very open, some people may be quite nervous because you're potentially upsetting or unbalancing your status quo. For example, if you go to your partner and say, I want us to do kinky stuff. That's very broad. And they might go, yeah, that's great. Or they might go, oh, don't know what you're talking about. If you go to your partner and say, I really want to see what it's like to tie you up, or how do you feel about learning to maybe use some ropes or some restraints? Even just breaking it down to that much detail means your partner has something to respond to that's specific and that they can either imagine or not happening between you. So this is really helpful. It brings it down to something manageable that you can discuss, which brings it to the third point, which is the concrete aspect. A lot of the time, when we're talking about intimate things in our sex life, whether it's emotional or psychological, it can all be happening inside our brain, which doesn't always translate to our partner. So the more we can talk about the specific details of the activity and how we want to feel, the more we can actually exchange our desires clearly and articulately with our partner. They may say, no, I don't want that at all. But what might happen is if you say, well, I really want to tie you up because I want to feel in control, your partner might say, oh, I'd love you to be in control. Not sure about tying up, but maybe we could try a different sort of dom-sub play. Maybe you could start by ordering me around or giving me instructions. And maybe you could ease into something that might or might not move towards restraints. But the nice thing is with this activity, it gives you more opportunity to find common ground than just going to your partner with something vague. So have a go, try these 2 questions on yourself. So ask yourself these 2 questions before introducing something to your relationship. And yeah, drop us a comment if you try it and let us know, how's it going for you?
You don't need to hide your body. You don't need to hide your body.